I'm always on here talking about how anybody can become a Chad, which is true to a sense. Like, anybody can easily bump up 1 to 3 S&V points and become much more handsome. But you know those genetic outliers, like David Lade would not look like David Lade without genetics, or all the popular kids you went to school with who just look like Chads from birth, or you see these male model celebrities when they're like 10 years old and they obviously had the genetic base for it. So today I'm going to tell you some of the most basic Chad genetics, some signs that you have some killer genetics. Let's get it. The thing that actually makes up for good elite genetics is going to be uniqueness, a rarity. So one of the most unique things is actually going to be colored eyes. This is a sign that you have very, very good genetics. So if you have blue eyes, I would say that your genetics are more uncommon. It's not going to be as common, but if I believe correctly, I believe actually a good chunk of the population has blue eyes. It's not as rare as people think. Now, one of the most rare eye colors is actually going to be green, with only 2% of the population having green eyes. And then gray eyes are also very rare. So if you have any of these colored eye combinations, then you most likely have very good genetics. I grew up as a fat kid with some big old man titties, and I remember looking at these kids I went to school with, like on my football team, basketball team, they just naturally had six-pack abs. And you see those kids, you know, like they can eat 5,000 calories and it doesn't seem like it even affects them. Brad Pitt is like this. Like, even before Fight Club, he was always freaking diced. So another sign you have killer genetics is that you're an ectomorph. This is going to be the best body type. This is the lean, wiry body type that male models look like. And the people with this body type, they seem to complain about it, like, oh, I can't gain weight, blah, 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 when typically they don't actually eat enough. But man, if you were to just eat a little bit more and actually lift properly, you could easily put on lean muscle mass. David Lade, he's just like this. He's a hard gainer. He's going to be an ectomorph. So if it's impossible for you to put on muscle, but you're just absolutely shredded, like you have a freaking 8-pack at 15 years old, you have a crazy jawline, you are genetically blessed. Something a lot of you guys think I have, but I actually don't according to my genetics, is going to be forward growth and an insane jawline. Now, if you have a bad jawline, typically it's because the jaw is actually too far back. So it actually doesn't create definition on that jawline because you don't have good forward growth. Now, I have great forward growth now, but I did not actually as a kid because I had orthodontics. So I had braces, and then they actually put a device in my mouth for nearly a year that moved this bottom jaw forward by roughly 1 inch. Now, if you have this naturally, this means that you have really, really good genetics. A lot of people can create this somewhat throughout puberty with some mewing, things like this. But man, this is one part of genetics that is hard to replicate without getting orthodontics, some sort of surgery. But if you've got this naturally, you hit it, man. On that subject, another thing I did not have is going to be straight teeth. Now, obviously right now, I have very straight teeth, but it was not always like that. I had very crooked, messed up teeth. Now, this one is more rare because no one really has perfect teeth just naturally. But if you have perfect teeth naturally, this means that you have great genetics. In addition to that, I'm just going to say that if you have whiter teeth naturally, like you don't have to go crazy with the whitener, this means that you're also healthier and you probably got good genes too, because I've seen some people, their teeth are like brown and yellow. There's all this weird stuff on it just naturally. It's crazy. If you are over the height of 5'9", this probably means that you have good genetics. Now, obviously, a lot of you guys still are not optimizing it because height growth is only 60 to 80% genetic, 20 to 40% environmental, meaning you can control it to an extent, but it is still heavily dominated by genetics. But if you want to optimize it a little bit, the number one reason most people don't grow taller is because nutrient deficiency. 92% of Americans across all social classes are deficient in basic vitamins and minerals. When this happens, IGF-1, human growth hormone, shuts down, closing your growth plates. Now, the solution is going to be Titan Growth 2.0 on my website, kalosique.com, which has 500 to 1,000% of all your daily required nutrients to optimize your height growth to the fullest. Don't forget to pick up Hypno Sleep. Hypno Sleep contains GABA, which scientifically boosts HGH by up to 400%, melatonin and valerian root, all scientifically proven to boost that HGH and make you knock out like crazy, because sleep is the most important thing to grow taller. And don't forget to join Kalos VIP. This is my school of Looks Maxing with my 3-hour Looks Maxing Masterclass, 2-hour High Growth Masterclass. Right now, I've got the Female Nature Masterclass. Every 2 weeks, we hop on a group VIP call. You gotta join now, and when we get 120 members, the price is going up again. Link in the description. Your eye shape actually heavily dictates how good your genetics really are, because I'm sure all the guys in the Looks Maxing community, you've seen like the almond eyes, the hunter eyes, the prey eyes, and you get really self-conscious about your eye shape. Now, one thing that will help actually develop the eyes is going to be giving your body enough human growth hormone and testosterone naturally throughout puberty. This is going to develop the skull shape to where you have deep set either hunter or almond eyes with very minimal upper eye exposure, making you look more aesthetic. But some people naturally have that just from birth, from their genetics. So if you naturally have almond eyes, more hunter eyes, this means that you have very, very good genetics. Every successful bodybuilder has this one genetic trait that you cannot control. You can get surgeries, which I would not advocate, but that is going to be the only other way. There's no other way to optimize this, but it's going to be wide clavicles. So it's going to be this bone essentially right here, because when you have wider clavicles and then you build up the shoulders, it's going to make your shoulders look even more insane. Once again, bringing up David Lake, because he has insane genetics. He has insanely wide clavicles naturally. What this is going to do is actually create a very insane shoulder to waist ratio, creating the Adonis Golden ratio, making you look a lot more aesthetic and giving you an insane frame. So even if you don't have a killer physique, you can naturally look more aesthetic just with wide clavicles and being lean, even if you don't have very much muscle mass. Tons of research has actually been going around, and women are most attracted to brown hair. So if you naturally have brown hair, this means that you probably have very good genetics as well. And not just that, if you have voluptuous, very thick hair, it's easy to control, this means that you have very, very good genetics. But I'm going to go even further. If you have a short forehead, think of Zayn. He's got like one of the shortest foreheads you've ever seen. Insane hairline with not a single sign of maturity, any receding, anything. So if you've got these types of hair genetics, you probably have S God tier genetics. I'll never forget growing up as a kid, especially during puberty, like 13 to 17, seeing all my peers, all the other kids in my school, they were breaking out. They were getting insane acne. They were having to get all these acne medicine and everything. And I remember I didn't have a single pimple. I didn't have any blemishes whatsoever. So this is a sign that you have very good genetics. It's going to be if you have very clear skin naturally. If you naturally don't get pimples, nothing ever flares up, you just always have that clear, glowing, gorgeous skin, you probably have really good genetics. But if you do struggle with this, I really do suggest getting on a very good natural skincare protocol, man. I hate all these chemicals and everything that everyone's promoting all over the internet. So you got two primary systems that you can use. Number one is going to be a Korean skincare system, which I love. It's very natural for the most part, and then they also add lots of extracts from natural plants, things like this. And then number two is obviously going to be my kalosique skincare protocol with all natural ingredients. It's going to be one of the best. You can purchase all of it on kalosique.com. Right now I'm actually using a combination of both because I do love the Korean stuff, but I also really love mine too. Last but not least is going to be your body itself. So two things. Number one is if you do not get sick very often. So if you find yourself rarely ever getting the cold and flu, you never take any medicine, you never take any jabs, anything like that, and you never ever get sick, this probably means that you have really great genetics and you probably take really good care of yourself. In addition to that, if you have an above average IQ level, this means that you have very, very good genes, because your IQ isn't so much the things that you know, it's more of your common sense. So average is going to be around 100, but if you have 115 plus IQ, this means that you have very good genes. If you're like in the 120s, 130s plus, you're probably very smart naturally and you struggle to relate with other people, man. But that's it. Subscribe if you're new. I love you with all my heart. Peace.